After Three, bit of a musical flavour, apart from best-selling author Rose McClelland, who's got a new thriller out called Under Your Skin. Danny Jones from McFly should be joining us. They've got new music out. And the Fratellis, who've also got new music out. The Scottish rock band. We'll be talking to them between 3 and 4 as well.
Radio WM.
BBC Radio WM. A new book, a thriller, Under Your Skin. It's been written by Rose McClelland, who's written previous books, but they've been more sort of romantic comedies. It's her first venture, I think, into thriller writing, and it's getting some great reviews. Rose, how are you?
I'm great, thank you, Paul. How are you?
Doing all right. How are the cats, Toots and Suits?
The cats are great. They're lying sleeping, as they do most of the day.
Now, this is your fourth book?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's the first thriller, would you say?
Yes, that's right.
So what made you go down a new genre, if you like?
Well, I found my tastes were changing. The books that I was enjoying was starting to change. The things I was watching was starting to change. And as I was getting older, I just don't know, I just didn't want to write romance anymore. That my third romance book actually sort of felt a bit darker. And one of my friends said, you could have easily have turned that into a psychological thriller because that guy was quite scary at times. And I thought, you know what, I really want to give this a try, actually. And so I just had a stab at it and really, really enjoyed it. So that's just basically a change in what I've been enjoying as well.
Well, it's getting great reviews. The story... There's a missing woman. It's set in Belfast, because obviously that's your manor.
Yes.
A missing woman, Kyle's wife, Hannah, disappears. What else can you tell us about the story without giving too much away?
Yeah, so in the first chapter, Kyle phones 999, reports his wife missing. He's frantic. By the second chapter, we already know that Hannah is locked in a basement somewhere, but we don't know who has put her there or why. And so the story is the unravelling of the mystery behind it, who's taken Hannah, why is she down there, what's the motive behind it, is it money, is it, and yes, it's all about the mystery surrounding her disappearance.
People's lives never quite what they seem to be.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you write the story? Do you know what's going to happen before you write the book or not?
Yes, I have a fair idea. I've kind of a beginning, middle and end plotted out. And I plot out some twists and turns in the middle, and then as I go along and write it chapter by chapter, I allow myself to kind of change tack if I need to. But I have a fair idea in my head how it's going to end.
So
it makes it easier to write.
Yeah. So Hannah is in a sort of lockdown of her own. In that sense.
Indeed. Yeah. And the funny thing is that I was inspired to write the book because I started working from home about 4 or 5 years ago, and I thought I was going to love it, but I actually felt really closed in and quite isolated, and it started to affect my mental health. And so then I started to think about what would it be like if you were stuck indoors all the time and you actually couldn't get out. And then I started to think about this character Hannah and why would she be stuck indoors and what would be the story behind it. So it all kind of started from me working from home.
Because a writer's life, I suppose, can be quite solitary, can't it, in a way?
Definitely, yeah. And most of the time I love that. I'm an introvert by nature, quite happy in my own company, but I did find that with working from home, I needed to push myself to get out and exercise, push myself to socialise with people. And I think the whole lockdown thing has been easier for me because I've been used to working from home. And of course, because of lockdown, lots of my friends are now doing Zoom calls and things, so it makes it easier to connect with people.
And your writing inspirations, Marian Keyes, who's the best-selling author, is one of those.
Yeah, I love her. I read her book, Rachel's Holiday, years and years ago, and I just thought her voice was so honest and open and fresh. And recently, in the last few years, I have really enjoyed authors like Fiona Barton and Claire Allen, who write psychological thrillers, and they've got this, Fiona Barton's novel, The Widow, has got this kind of really creepy, eerie narrative voice, and I love that because it feels very intimate when you're reading it, and that's the kind of narrative voice that I like to try and portray in my book as well.
And you've written plays, haven't you, that have been performed as well? So what is it about this line of business? What else was there for Rose McClelland to do apart from writing? Was it always going to be this?
I've always wanted to be a writer ever since I was about 10. And then I went to university and studied English and drama. And then I did a few creative writing courses. And when I was at university, I wrote for the student newspaper and I wrote theatre reviews and things. So I've always had an interest in it. My work has been in sort of PA and office work. I worked in theatres. So I worked in the Orange Tree Theatre in Richmond in London. So I think that was me sort of wanting to be a part of the theatre world, but I was kind of in the office side of things. So yeah, I've always had an interest in books and writing and words.
So, because all of your books are standalone, so
yes.
Is there a train of thought for you that thinks, I'll write a series of books?
Yeah, when I sat down to write Under Your Skin, I planned it to be a standalone. And then the reviews have been so great, and so many people have said, "Oh, I loved the banter between the two detectives," and they wanted to see them back again. So I'm writing book 5 at the minute, and Simon and Kerry have come back to solve another crime. So I think I probably will sort of now write a series where these detectives are going to be looking at a different crime for each book.
I sense maybe a TV series.
Well, I would love that, Paul. If you've anyone in the know, you can tell them.
But the two detectives that feature in Under Your Skin, they're coming back in the next book as well. Rose McClelland with us. Under Your Skin is Rose's latest. It's her first thriller. It's got great reviews, and there are more of a similar genre coming from Rose McClelland. Rose, thanks for taking time. Stay safe.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, Paul.
BBC Radio WM.